Well, hello, Ian Anderson-Gray here. This is episode 174 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what I learned from PodFest and VidFest, which I attended last month in May 2022. That's the year we're in. And I had a great time, and I want to share some of the things that I learned, but also like why you should think about actually going to an in-person conference, because a lot of us haven't been to many in the last couple of years. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And it's been a little bit of a while since, well, I did go live last week, but it just feels like I've not been going live quite as much as I usually do. But this week I'm going live twice. I'm going live today to talk about that. And on Thursday, I've got a special guest onto the show. We're talking about imposter syndrome. So we haven't talked about imposter syndrome in quite a while. So I'm looking forward to that. I've got Steve Worthy on the show talking about that. And yes, so that is what we're talking about today. Now, I'm just going to check something on the interwebs just to make sure that we're all good and going, because there we go. I'm hoping we've got a bit of a... Yeah, there we go. We've got something going on here with... When I'm going live to Facebook groups, often I can't see the name, so I'm hoping that we're going to get something working on there, a new little bit of tech that I've been working with. Great. Well, I think it's time to get on with the show. I can see we've got some live people watching. I will get on with the show right now. Hello and welcome to episode 174 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing what I learned from PodFest and VidFest, which I attended in Orlando, Florida last month. So I think it's time to get on with the show right now.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson-Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication, and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Well, hello, Ian Anderson-Gray here for the Confident Live Marketing Show. I'm excited to be here. As always, I've realised I haven't got my nice little mic flag, and there's a reason for that, which I'll talk about later because it's to do with Amazon Live. But I can see we've got the wonderful Martin Buckland here. Great to see you, Martin, up bright and early from Toronto. I'm hoping one day I will get to Toronto. We were supposed to be there in, when was it? Well, sometime in summer 2020. That never happened for some bizarre reason, which we won't talk about. But great to see you, Martin. Hope you're doing well. Let us know what you're working at the moment and how the live videos are going. And Katie Simpson is watching from down south in England, a beautiful part of the world. Katie, it was so lovely to see you and your husband earlier this year. Hope you're doing well, Katie. And we've got Catherine Sanders watching from sunny Edinburgh. Lovely part of the world. In fact, my daughter is doing a music, I don't know what it is, like a music trip to Edinburgh. She's really looking forward to it. She's been to Glasgow, but not been to Edinburgh before, and so I think she's really looking forward to that. So hope you're doing well. Let me know what you're working on at the moment. So welcome. Let me know if you're watching and where in the world you are watching from. Okay, it's time to talk about the conference that I went to last month. So this is May 2022, and it's called PodFest Expo. Now, normally, every year I go to Social Media Marketing World, which is a big social media conference that happens in San Diego. This was the first year that I didn't go to that for various reasons, which I talked about before. Not because, not for any negative reasons, but it felt a little bit too early, and I just wanted something different. I wanted to play with something different this year, and I thought, well, why not go to PodFest, which happens in Orlando in Florida. And so that happened in May 2022. And looking back at the history of PodFest, it started, well, it kind of had its origins back in 2013, but there's a lovely guy called Chris Krimitsos, sorry, if I can pronounce his name correctly, who created PodFest back in 2015. And it's an annual gathering of international podcasters. I would actually say the people that go to PodFest are creators. Yes, there are a lot of podcasters there, but there are a lot of just creators, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And apparently it's the longest running in-person conference of its type. And they are holding a Guinness World Record for the largest attendance for a virtual podcasting conference in 1 week, which is pretty impressive. So this year in 2022, it was back at the Hilton Orlando Resort, which is a very nice hotel, I have to say. Now, I might be wrong, but it kind of felt like I was the only person from the UK. There were a few other international people there, but I think this is still fairly early on after the last couple of years, and people are still a little bit nervous traveling. I think it was probably partly that, and I know that was part of the reason why there weren't so many international people going to social media marketing world. So that might have been the reason. Now, I was technically speaking at VidFest, and there's a little bit of confusion between VidFest and PodFest. I think, so VidFest is obviously about video and PodFest is about podcasting. They are two separate events, but they're kind of joined. So my view on this is like VidFest is part of PodFest, but you can either go to both of them. You can go to PodFest only or VidFest only, and they all basically happen in the same venue. So I can see Catherine is saying fabulous. She is fabulous. Wrapping up a product launch. Ooh, tell me more. And planning a podcast for the autumn with my new ADHD autism coaching. So very happy to hear your insights. Ooh, that sounds really interesting. I want to know more. Because I know, well, from the ADHD autism thing, first of all, I know quite a few friends of mine have been diagnosed with autism recently, and the same with ADHD. And I was diagnosed with ADHD end of last year, and a podcast for that would be amazing. So tell me more. I'd love to know more about that. So the question is, why did I go to PodFest and VidFest? Why did I go to a conference, and why should you consider going to a conference? Because I am actually putting on an event later this year in the end of October in Newcastle in the UK. I'm putting on a workshop, and this is I'm basically joining up with my friends Andrew and Pete. They're doing in the afternoon on that day, on the 31st of October, they're putting on they're calling it the Atomic Mastermind, and then the 1st and 2nd of November, my friend Janet Murray is putting on her big event, the Courageous Content event. And so we're all kind of joining together. And so I've been thinking a lot about this, why should we start to think about going to in-person events? And so for me, I have like a score chart that I have. I don't necessarily write this down, but it's in my head that helps me work out whether I should go to a conference, whether I'm speaking at the event or whether I'm attending the event. Now, often I go to an event because I'm speaking, and so that's a slightly separate thing, but this will help you whether you're speaking or just attending. So number one, this is the question I want to ask: is the event at a place that I really want to go to? Is it at an amazing place that I want to go to? So that's number one, and that's not necessarily the most important. But number two is, will there be prominent people in my industry there? So these are not necessarily people who are going to be my clients, but these are people in my industry that I can get inspiration from. Will those kind of people be there? Are the audience there? Now, this is particularly if you're speaking. Will the audience there be my audience? Are they going to buy my stuff? So if I'm going to go there and speak, are they likely to become my clients, or are they going to become my audience? If I want to grow my podcast or want to grow my show or grow my business, are the people there the kind of people who are going to be like my audience? Next thing is more to do with the budget. So if I'm speaking, are they going to give me free ticket? But if I'm not speaking, what's the budget like? How much is the ticket? How much is it going to cost to get there? So do I have to fly there? How much is the hotel? And all the other stuff that I'm going to potentially think about. If I'm going to be going to a conference in Iceland, Iceland's a very expensive place. So it's not just flying there, it's the food and all that kind of stuff. So you need to think about that. And then the final one is, if I am speaking, are they going to pay me? Is there a fee? And is the fee decent enough? So those are the 5 things, and you can add them all up. So let's add all of those up for PodFest, because that was kind of what was going through my mind. And so for the first question, is it at a place that I really wanted to go to? Well, I wouldn't say like Florida or Orlando was like necessarily the place that I wanted to go in the US, but I definitely wanted to go to the US. And I've never been to Florida before, and it was going to be sunny. So yes, there's a definite yes for that one. Will prominent people in my industry be there? Absolutely yes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Will the audience there be my audience? Probably not in this case for PodFest. Some maybe, but I wasn't necessarily convinced by that one. So that's not, and I think if you're going to be speaking at an event, I do think usually that needs to be a yes, but that was kind of not so sure. The next one is, do I get a free ticket, and the whole budget side of things? Well, as I was speaking, they did give me a free ticket. But I did have to pay for my hotel and my flight. So that was, there was, a fair bit of money that I needed to spend in order to go to this. And then the final thing is, if I'm speaking, is there a fee and is it good? Well, in this case, no, there was not a fee. Normally I would say I don't speak for free. But why did I want to go to this event? Well, so I said yes for the first 2. Normally that wouldn't be enough, but the other thing is that I really wanted to go to PodFest and heard lots of really good things about it. And really there are 2 other things that we don't normally think about. First of all is it going to be fun? And after the last 2 or 3 years, I was so desperate to do something fun, new and exciting, something where I could just to go somewhere different. And the excitement of going to the US for me after 3 years, I mean, I had a smile on my face for the first 3 days. I was so happy. I was so excited. And seeing friends, like I hung out with my good friend Jeff C. We went to Disney. These are things like, okay, from a business point of view, does that make sense? I don't know. But it certainly, I think sometimes you have to make those decisions for your mental health, maybe, and for all that side of things. So, I was absolutely, should I have gone? It was, the decision was, looking at all those, the score charts, you could argue that maybe I shouldn't have gone, but I'm so glad I did, and I learned so much, and I so enjoyed it. PodFest is a fantastic event, and I highly recommend it. So, I'm going to share some things that I learned from it, but just a few other things that you can think about if you are going to go abroad and you're wanting to try and budget with things. First of all, the flight from Manchester, where I am, to Orlando was actually fairly reasonable. I flew with Aer Lingus, and I can't fault them. It was a really good flight, both ways, and it was great. I didn't stay at the hotel. The hotel was, I couldn't really justify the cost of that, so I stayed at an Airbnb. And you know what? The Airbnb was fabulous. They had a swimming pool, and it wasn't that far from the place. I mean, it was like a 10-minute walk. So, and I learned so much about Amazon Live. That was the big takeaway from this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I also, let's have a look. And I mean, basically, we had lots of fun stuff. I mean, I worked by the pool. There were palm trees. I got some really great work done in the first couple of days just before I flew in a couple of days, 2 or 3 days early, one day to kind of acclimatize to the new time zone. And it was really lovely. And the breakfasts, I mean, I know American breakfasts are really like big, but I had a fabulous omelette. It was a Tex-Mex omelette. It was really amazing. So I love that. And went to Disney for the first time with my good friend Jeff C. We haven't seen each other since March 2020, so it was so good to spend some time with Jeff. He's a great friend of mine, and I've never been to Disney. I have to admit, I've never been the greatest Disney fan. I've never been like massively into it, but like I was in Orlando. I had to go to Disney, and we went to Magic Kingdom, which was the first like Disney park out in Orlando. And Jeff knows his stuff. So he gave me a tour of everything. I had an amazing time. I wouldn't say like I'm a massive Disney fan now, but I'm certainly a lot more than I was before. And I found it fascinating going around that. I think I'd love to bring the kids to Disney. So yeah, that's what we did there as well. And I met so many amazing people. I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, going to Disney, learning about Amazon Live, seeing so many amazing people. It was cool. So Catherine is saying here, no way, I knew there was a reason we vibed. It's so funny. I think with the whole ADHD thing, I think people with ADHD tend to get each other, don't we? So for me, virtual events will always be easier at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's room for what we call a hybrid event. And so I know Janet Murray's event is going to be a hybrid event. I think it's going to be a hybrid event. So you don't necessarily need to go there. You can actually partake of it virtually, which is really good. So it'll always be easier at the moment. I'm still CEV. I can't risk anything other than the hospital. Yeah. It sounds like it made you really happy though, and that has to be part of your calculations. Absolutely. And I think that's the thing. We're all different. We're all in different situations, and I'm sorry to hear that about you, Catherine, but you absolutely need to be happy in your decision and do what you want to do. And there will always be time, later on to be able to go to these events. So the last thing I want to do in talking about all of this is to give anyone like FOMO or to feel like, I don't know, they're missing out or guilt or anything like that. But hopefully, like some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today, you'll be able to take stuff away from that as well. So I got to hang out with some amazing people. And yes, you can meet people virtually, but there's something about meeting people in person that just, I don't know, something magical about that. And so I got to meet some fabulous people. So Chris Giles, who is on, so for podcast listeners, I'm showing some photos on the screen here, but Chris Giles, it was great to meet him because he has been a guest on the show, and we talked about Amazon Live on the show. It was great to see him and to meet DJ Strix, who is part of the Ecamm Live community. That was pretty awesome as well. So that was Alicia Way. Sorry, I should have got that wrong. And then that's DJ Strix there, Jeff C. Met Ross Brand, who is inspirational, fantastic live streamer. And I'm hoping to have Ross on the show as well. Other people, Valerie Morris, I got to also hang out with. Jim Foos, who's also been on the show. A bit more about him in a bit. I got to meet Shelley Nathan, who's been on the show as well, and she is awesome as well. And got to see Michelle from Heil, who has been on the show as well. So we did lots and lots of cool things there. So meeting people in real life, I got to hang out with Dimitri Skavish from Wave Video as well. I don't think I've actually met him properly before. And got to see Rob Balasabas, who's been on the show, Chris Stone, and Heather Hyman as well. So it's been great to see all of those people as well. So my talk was about the recovering perfectionist. So I'm a recovering perfectionist. It was the recovering perfectionist guide to launch your podcast from your live show. And it went really, really well. So I enjoyed doing that. It was a little bit nerve-wracking doing this for the first time in 2 years, getting on stage. But I need to do more of these. I need to get back into the scheme of things of actually speaking at a live event. I really enjoyed that. Ross Brand. So his talk, I loved his talk, and I'd love to get him onto the show to talk about this, because he was talking about how to monetize your live shows. And that was really good. He was talking about doing virtual events, doing more virtual events. And Catherine, what you said was so true, that so many of us are still wanting to go to virtual events. Just because things in the world are opening up doesn't mean that virtual events are dead. Absolutely not. I think a lot of us have realized the merits of going to a virtual event, because you can still do all your work and get on with your work and, spend time with family and friends and go to an event. The downside about what I did and going away to Florida is that was a whole week out of my calendar. And then I had a couple of days at the beginning and the end, trying to get back into the scheme of things. So, whereas if you're going to an event at home, virtually, then you don't have any of that. So virtual events, if you're wanting to monetize and you wanted to look at other revenue streams, virtual events are a great way of doing this. And one thing that I learned from last year, or over the last year, is the whole thing of not putting all your eggs in one basket. So I was working with some brands last year, doing lots of live shows, and then towards the end of last year, that stopped because they had changed their focus really on what they're wanting to do. So I was putting so much time and effort into working with that brand that then when they stopped, it was quite a big dent in my revenue. And I already knew that this was the case, that don't put all your eggs in one basket. You need to have lots of different revenue streams. And it's been fine since. I have developed lots of different revenue streams, but it was just a great reminder that we need to do that. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do things like virtual events, do podcasts, do coaching, consultancy. If you're a creator and a coach, then you can do all of those things. The other thing I really liked about what Ross was saying is he was really honest about the reach of live at the moment. The reach of live videos has gone right down compared to, say, 3 years ago. But that doesn't mean that live video is dead. There are still so many opportunities. There are still so many great reasons why you should go live. And we've talked about that on the show. So there are loads of other opportunities. He mentioned joining the Amazon Influencer Program, which I'll talk about in a bit, shoppable videos, and also just preparing for new products and tech as well. So let's look at what Martin is saying. Martin is saying, yes, I agree, meeting in person is so important to me. I'm lining up so many keynotes, workshops, and other speaking gigs, plus networking events across the world starting later this year. Back to speaking excites me. Yeah, and I totally know what you mean. There's something amazing and magical and energy giving about speaking in public. And it's just about... It's about communicating. It's about making a difference as well. But there's this buzz that comes from speaking. Now, I think at the moment for me, Martin, I know for you, this is absolutely like what you do. I think for me at the moment, one thing I've realized is there are different times in our lives to focus on different things. And I think for me at the moment, I will be doing speaking this year, but I'm not going to be focusing totally on that. That's not my main thing at the moment. We've still got a fairly young family. I don't want to be away from them too much this year. But there's going to be time later, maybe in 5, 6, 7 years time, when I'm going to be doing that a lot more. So I want to continue to do that, but it's not my priority. But you're so right. It's so exciting to do that. So yeah. So I think what I got from this is it gave me that real kick at the bum to do more Amazon Lives. And we've talked about Amazon Live on the show before. I've actually had access to Amazon Live since 2020. So you have to apply. You have to apply for the Amazon Influencer Program. And I did that and I got into that, which was great. I think there aren't that many of us Brits on this. I think I've heard there's maybe 5 of us doing it. So this is Amazon.com. It's not available anywhere else in the world. You can join influencer programs in Canada and the UK and Australia and places like that, but there is no live element to that or shoppable video. So I have done multi-streaming. I have multi-streamed this show to Amazon Live, but I've always wanted to do like a dedicated Amazon Live show because it's a very different kind of show, type of show. It is basically selling. It is like a shopping channel. And so these kind of shows, I'm not convinced they work that well because they're not focused on the product. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Obviously, today we're talking about events, but if I was talking about microphones, which I have done on the show before, then okay, fair enough. That might work on an Amazon Live. So I've done multi-streaming before. I've multi-streamed this show to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Amazon Live, but I've always wanted to do that dedicated type of one. And there's a huge opportunity here. So my main revenue stream is coaching, consultancy. I also have a revenue stream with affiliate income. And actually that's quite a big chunk for me, affiliate income. Brand ambassadorships, I've done that in the past. It's not so much of a focus at the moment, but I'm not against doing that. But I'm all about diversifying revenue streams. I think that's really important, not to put all your eggs in one basket. So Amazon, the Amazon Influencer Program is definitely going to be a big thing for me this year and next year. But again, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket because, of course, like I might be really successful with Amazon Live. I might be making, a fair bit of money. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But I don't want to rely on that because what if Amazon then decides to pull the plug? So you have to be careful in what you do. So Catherine says, I agree. Hybrid, when possible, allows us the best of both, and it's much more inclusive. Have to do more catching up on this Amazon Live thing. And Catherine, if you want to know more about it, there's an episode when I had Chris Giles on the show, and he went into a lot of detail. So if you go to iag.me/podcast and then just search back, you'll find the episode we did on Amazon Live. But I'm going to be talking a bit more about it today. So here is some of the stuff that I learned and what I want to do. So I actually have launched a live show on Amazon Live. Amazon Live, basically, if you go to amazon.com/live, you can see people who are going live about particular products, and they will talk through a series of products in what we call the carousel. So you add, as the creator, you add all those products to your carousel, and then you talk about those on camera and you answer questions so people can interact with you and ask you a little bit more information about those. So I think the important thing that I learned from the event. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to say, so at PodFest and VidFest, I mainly went to the VidFest part of this, but I did go to some of the podcast events. But the main day we're talking about here is Jim Fuse and Chris Stone put together this one-day event as part of VidFest, all to do with dedicated on Amazon Live. And they got so many amazing people in. They had some A-listers from Amazon that came in, and that was what that day was all about. And I learned so much about it. So a massive thanks to Jim Fuse and Chris Stone. They put on just an amazing event. I just can't believe it. I learned so much. And apparently it's like the only event that we know of about Amazon Live that was dedicated to Amazon Live. So you can imagine how kind of like it got quite geeky and quite niche, but it was amazing. So I want to do dedicated shows on that. I also want to do interviews. So you don't have to just do a solo show. We could bring in, I could bring in another influencer, somebody who's got a lot of gear around the house, around their office, and we can collaborate with each other. Because the problem is with Amazon is, it needs to be, the product you're talking about needs to be actually on Amazon.com. So I was thinking, well, we've got a digital piano downstairs. I could talk about that. But unfortunately, it's not on Amazon.com. And I'm in the UK. So you could have a guest on who is talking about microphones, or, I don't know, it could be about anything. It could be about nursery equipment or something, nursery toys or something like that. And they can show those on the video as well. So collaborating with other creators is great as well. So Martin is saying, I guess Amazon Live isn't for me as I don't have tangible products to sell. So Martin, it's not about selling. I don't have any products. Well, I don't have any physical products that I'm selling on Amazon. I am effectively selling products that are already on Amazon. So I'm not actually selling them necessarily. So I suppose I should probably explain this. What you're doing is you're going onto Amazon, and so for example, these headphones here, actually I don't have, they're down there. I've got some headphones which are amazing, And I will talk about those on my Amazon Live. And I will select that product, and and then people watching will be able to ask me questions about that. Now, what will happen is if somebody then buys those headphones, I will get a cut. It might be like 3%, 4%. But the really amazing thing here is that it's not just that. It's not just the cut of the headphones. If they were to buy other things like lights or a TV, I will get a cut on all of that, a percentage on all that is in their cart for as long as they purchase within 24 hours of watching my live show. So the more people that watch, the better. And I suppose what I should say here is that there are different levels. When you apply to be an Amazon influencer and get onto Amazon Live, you are what's called a rising star. So the only people that will probably discover you are people who've just gone onto amazon.com/live and they've just clicked on your video, or maybe they're already following you. And so you're probably not going to get that many people watching you live, but anyone who buys products that you're talking about, as well as anything else in their cart, you will get a cut. The next level that you can apply for is called an insider. And this is the really cool thing. This is when the magic starts to happen. Because going back to that headphones analogy again, if I'm talking about the Bose Smart Comfort 35 headphones, I will, if I'm an insider, appear on that product page on Amazon. So if anyone is actually looking for those headphones and they scroll down, they will see my live show talking about that product, and they will click on that and then start watching. And that's when you can start to get dozens, maybe even hundreds of people watching you live because they're interested in the products, and then they can ask you questions. And again, you get that cut of all of those things in their cart. So it is really amazing. Katie, thank you so much. I know you watched my Amazon Live. Thank you so much about that. So I hope that helps, Martin. It's not necessarily for you because, you could see this as another revenue stream for you if you were interested in doing live. It's kind of live selling, but not really of your products. But so that is one revenue stream, is Amazon Lives. The other one that you can do is once you start to be reasonably successful on this, you can then get brand deals. And this is what Chris Giles talked about on the Amazon Live when we were talking about Amazon Live previously. And so you'll maybe get approached by brands who want to sponsor you or want you to talk about their products. And that's where some of the real money can come into it as well as what I'm going to talk about here, shoppable product videos as well. So make it, collaborate with other people is great. You can but make sure that it's about the audience. It's not about you. Live shows are never about you. This show is not about me. It's about you. I wanted to give value to you as well. And this is why I love it when you're asking questions, because I want to make it about you. So ask them, what are they shopping for today? What value can you give to them? And track those questions that people are asking so you can make it more valuable for the future. Tell stories as well. This is one of the things that one of the speakers mentioned. What made you buy those headphones or that, I don't know, whatever it is that you're buying? What made you buy that? Because people really resonate with emotions and stories as well. So, I was a rising star for, well, basically since 2020. I was not doing anything, and to apply for the Insider is actually relatively simple. You have to have 90 minutes. You have to have broadcast to Amazon Live for 90 minutes. But it's not just that. You see, I'd already done that, but I haven't really done a dedicated live show when I'm actually talking about products. And so I wanted to do that. And I did that last week on Thursday. I did my first dedicated proper Amazon Live. And I did it for over 90 minutes, which meant that I could then apply for an Insider. Now, I was a little bit nervous about this because I know people who have been, who were not accepted because for various reasons, it may be that they didn't talk about the products properly or something like that. So I was a little bit nervous, but I applied for Insider. And as I said, the exciting thing when you get to Insider is that you will then appear on the product pages, which is a big deal. There is what's called an A-lister. To be an A-lister, you have to be selling, I can't remember exactly how much it is. It's, I don't know, it's like $4,000 per month. It's not you making $4,000, but you're selling $4,000 per month on Amazon. But the cool thing, but the difficult bit, well, that's difficult, but you have to have 2,000 followers as well. But I applied straight after the Amazon Live that I did, and I got accepted in an hour, which is amazing. So I was so excited about that. I'm now an insider, and I'm going to be sharing in future weeks my experience with that. I don't expect to be making much money at the beginning with this, but hopefully over time it will grow, and this will be another revenue stream. The important thing that I came away with from this is that I actually really, really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed doing it. So, yeah. So let's look at the comments. Oh, Katie, you've mentioned Jim. I think Jim's probably going to be in bed at this time in the morning, but Jim was amazing, and Chris too. And Katie is just clarifying it. Hi, Martin. Yeah, you demo products that you have anyway. You don't buy them to sell them. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, I'm insider. Yes, cool. Katie is saying doing an Amazon Live about the new Rodecaster would be amazing. Yeah, so there's a new Rodecaster Pro Mark II. I've got the original Rodecaster. The only problem with that, Katie, is that I would have to buy it. I suppose I could... if I know of anyone who has a Rodecaster 2, then I could borrow it and we could talk about it. I know some people who actually will buy a product and then just return it back to Amazon. I'm not comfortable with that. I think that's dodgy. But I am basically going to be talking about all the products that I have. But friends and family, I'm going to probably borrow products as well. But I'd love to do one about the Rodecaster Pro 2. And great idea regarding telling stories. And I think that's the same for all live shows, this show as well. And hopefully I think I am kind of bringing some of the stories, some of the experiences that I've had with this conference as well. So you need to first of all apply to be an influencer, and then do 90 minutes of Amazon Live. And then you could apply for the next level, which is being an insider. Now, then there's the power of shoppable videos. And I think this is where people are making the most money. And this is really interesting because this has nothing to do with live. You'll go down, if you go to Amazon.com and look at products, you'll see people have created videos. Some of them have been created by influencers, and these are called shoppable videos. And these are short videos of usually either unboxing or demonstrating the product and giving value. If anyone clicks on one of those, again, they're going to get the creator, the influencer, is going to get a cut of that of that product if they buy it, and anything in their cart as well. Now, people are making a fair bit of money from this, but that's after they've probably uploaded about 400 or 500 of these things. So I've applied for this. You don't get it straight away. What you do is you create 3 shoppable videos, and then you submit them to Amazon and they look at them. And apparently the waiting time is about a month. So we'll see how I get on with that. I've created probably about 10 of these in the background. So we'll see how we get on with that as well. Katie has moved over to YouTube. Very confusing, Katie, because your pictures changed. But I'm going to apply again. So Katie, have you applied for Amazon.com, the influencer program? Let me know. Maybe kind of message me and see if I can help you with that, because you would be great at doing that. I think you'd really enjoy it. So the other thing you can do is, of course, you can then apply for the influencer program of other Amazon. So Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.ca, Amazon.com.au. Those places do not have live yet or shoppable videos, but you can upload idea lists. And I would say get in there now, so that if they do add live and shoppable videos, you're going to be like towards the front of the queue there. So something to think about there as you do that. Well, we're coming towards the end of the show. I don't know if you've got any more questions, but let's look at what Martin is saying here. So Martin says, doesn't being on Amazon Live change your branding message? I'm not a salesperson. I like to educate clients across the world on executive career management. I don't want to be branded as a salesperson. Personally, I believe it will cheapen my brand. Both you and I, Ian, like to educate, not sell. You do such a great job on educating. Really, really good point. And I'm glad you asked that, because I think this is important, because yes, this could change your branding message, but only if, so in a way, this episode today is maybe an exception to this, but like, I'm not going to really promote my Amazon Lives out there. I'm not going to be coming onto the show and saying, hey, watch my Amazon Lives, because that is different to my brand. You're right, Martin. I'm an educator. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. I'm a speaker. And the sales part of the Amazon Live is very, very different. So, but it doesn't mean that I can't do both. I can absolutely be a coach and an educator. And that is my brand. But on Amazon, I can, in a sense, it's kind of like my side job in a way. It's my side thing. And that's going to be completely separate to what I'm doing with the rest of my business. So it's about diversifying my revenue streams. This show and my coaching, my consultancy, and all that side of things, that is my main business. The Amazon Live thing is like a side thing that I'm doing. And I'm doing it to diversify revenue streams, but I'm also doing it because actually I really enjoy it. I actually quite enjoy selling other people's stuff. So I hope that kind of makes sense. But there is a balance there. There is a real balance there. And I think you need to be careful about that. And it's really interesting that it's absolutely not about you at all. People don't really care about like you so much on Amazon Live. It's more about the product. Whereas with this, people, hopefully, people care a lot more about you as the creator and the educator. If you're watching this and listening to this, yes, you are interested in what I'm talking about, I hope, but you're listening to me because hopefully you respect me and you like the way I talk about things as well. So absolutely. So I hope, I mean, you may disagree with me, Martin, and please feel free to disagree with me, but this is something I'm looking into as a way, because what I want to do, as well as this being another revenue stream, I also want to help you as a creator to potentially look at other revenue streams as well. But for you, Martin, I'm not convinced this is for you, Amazon Live, but and I think you've kind of like gathered that. So, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But for some viewers and some listeners, I think Amazon Live is certainly something that you want to think about. So yeah, Katie, I will let you know. I think I might be doing one later today. It's a bit of a funny week, but I will let you know. Katie is saying, I wasn't accepted into the influencer program because I don't have a big enough audience. Yeah, now that's a tricky one, because one of the ways you get into, you be accepted, is you give your Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they tend to look at the number of followers you have, which I kind of hate. I got in via Twitter because I have like just under 50,000 followers on Twitter, but unfortunately they've actually taken away Twitter from that. So it's just like Instagram, Facebook, and I don't know whether it's TikTok or things like that. So yeah, it's probably, you probably have to focus on growing your audience outside first. Katie says, Martin would be great telling people about books in his field on Amazon. Absolutely. It just really is, it's dependent on whether, I suppose, you feel this is worth your time, whether it's, and Katie says, I enjoy selling other people's stuff too, but we need to be better. We need to be good at selling our stuff as well. And I'm going to be bringing on somebody to talk about selling in the future as well, because, and actually back to you, Martin, if you're still here, you are a salesman, because you are selling your services. You know, you have services to sell, and actually when you're a speaker, you're kind of selling an idea as well, not necessarily physical products though. Definitely. Well, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Catherine, as well. I really appreciate all of your questions and for joining me today, as taking that time out of your day. I don't know what the weather's like for you, but the weather is gorgeous here. I'm looking forward to getting out there, but I do need to do my Amazon Live as well later today. But that is it for, well, I was going to say for this week, but actually on Thursday, we're talking about imposter syndrome. Got Steve Worthy on the show to talk about that. Can't wait for that. And so that will be on Thursday if you're watching live, or next Friday if you're listening to the podcast. Well, that is it. And until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.